Mr. Speaker, sir, firstly, allow me to declare my interest in this matter. Currently, I serve as a member on the National Heritage Board. I'm also currently Vice President of the Restaurant Association of Singapore and also Executive Chairman of a food service business. Hawkers play a key role in the food and beverage landscape. They continue to provide tasty and affordable meals for all Singaporeans. A National Environmental Agency (NEA) study in 2023 suggests that over 80% of Singaporeans consume hawker centre food at least once a week. Hawker food continues to remain largely affordable owing to a variety of factors. In food and beverage, F&B, the three main cost components are cost of space, that is rental, cost of food, that is the raw materials that go into the dish, and manpower. Hence, an F&B business thrives or survives when it generates sufficient revenue to cover all operating expenses. Government policy thus far has recognized the value and place of hawkers in our society, and it would seem the majority of hawkers benefit from generally low and manageable rentals in the 100-plus hawker centres. Older hawkers continue to benefit from the subsidised rent scheme. NEA data estimates this at about 40% of cooked food stall holders. NEA also reports that the average successful monthly bid for cooked food stalls continues to be lower than rental at food courts and coffee shops. Thus, on the issue of rents, can there be a better way to support hawkers moving forward? Recent high bids in popular centres have raised the question of whether the bidding system is still the correct approach. Now, if you look at the hawker centres, in many hawker centres, there will be a few stalls with long queues, and many where you can just walk up and order. It's the same pattern in other F&B concepts, whether these are food courts, quick service restaurants, or full service restaurants. Some will have waiting lines, while others you can be seated almost immediately. There are also variations in revenue levels for the same concept over various geographical locations. So one particular brand in one particular location may attract a certain level of revenue and be different in another location. Some malls where the foot traffic is high, the F&B outlets located there enjoy proportionately stronger sales. But this comes at a cost, higher rents. In the case of using private landlords set the rental and the tenant decides whether to accept it or not, or negotiate for whatever is the best available rental. In government hawker centres, the potential tenant offers the landlord what is considered affordable. A seasoned or experienced hawker will know the potential of the business and will have done the maths on what to bid and what is affordable. The alternative to the bidding system would be a balloting system where the rent is fixed and the variable then becomes the luck of the draw. And this has been proposed by honourable members Mr. Leong and Ms. Phua. Now, this too will not be perfect and could result in potential vacancies, whereas the current bidding system will still award a stall for a minimum of $1 rental if this is the highest bid. I therefore feel the government is addressing the issue of rental costs at hawker centres in a reasonable and fair manner under the current circumstances. The next big cost item for all food businesses is cost of raw materials. Recent years, we have seen food costs escalate owing mostly to external factors. Inflation and higher costs have impacted many industry sectors, not just the food and beverage sector. Food is a necessity. Hence, higher food costs would naturally hit us more noticeably and directly. Typically, a business will raise selling price to retain operating margins. However, for F&B, this is often not so clear-cut. We are truly spoilt for choice in F&B. Hence, operators, myself included, would need to be judicious in raising selling prices. The similar cautious approach is taken by hawkers who are concerned that a price increase will result in loss of customers. Recent reports suggest that many hawkers prefer to accept the lower operating margins rather than risk losing business through a price increase. Some suggest that public perception of hawker food is low price, and hence this makes it more difficult for customers to accept price increases. Mr. Speaker, sir, food and beverage is a competitive business. The discerning customer will make choices, weighing price, quality, convenience, and a variety of other factors. There are many initiatives to raise the profile of hawker food with the intention to get the general public to accept paying more for hawker meals. It should be noted, though, that there are some hawkers who do not intend to raise prices. Some feel that they want to keep the meal affordable for those who would be adversely affected by price increases. Others would feel that they have comfortable earnings even though margins are down. In this cost area, the government has been managing inflation at the macro level and, as mentioned by honourable members earlier, provided supplementary efforts such as the CDC voucher scheme. And the CDC voucher scheme has the dual impact of helping households meet higher rising costs and supporting spending at selected merchants, including hawkers. The third cost component, manpower, is a continuing challenge for the F&B sector. While some hawkers work as a family unit, there are those who will need to hire assistants, and the cost of this has increased. There's also the issue of supply of manpower. Manpower costs are not as key a cost component for hawkers as other F&B concepts. But where margins are challenged, any increment eats into the bottom line. Consumer spending does flow with the economic tide. During better times, it is possible that consumers will be willing to spend more on F&B and therefore replace a hawker meal with one at a higher cost option. Similarly, when we need to tighten our belts, the demand for hawker food may well increase. On a national level, there has been the successful inclusion of hawker culture in the UNESCO representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity. Mr. Speaker, sir, the government has not been short of efforts and allocation of resources towards support of hawkers. I believe these will be constantly reviewed and enhanced where appropriate. The support during and post-COVID will have brought welcome relief to many hawkers, though some hawkers will have been impacted more negatively than others. Hawkers also have opportunity to improve processes, and these include grants for equipment and going digital. One big challenge for the hawker industry is that of succession. While some hawkers have moved into second and third generation, many cease operations when there is no opportunity for succession. F&B operators have been seizing the business opportunity for some popular stalls and scaling these to multi-outlet operations. It remains to be seen how this will feed into the continuity of our hawker culture. There are also examples of hawkers who have grown into full-scale restaurants on their own, and not just one restaurant, but several outlets. KEK Seafood is one example of a family successfully transitioned into the second generation, having grown from a stall now to a multi-outlet restaurant business. Hawker culture, as we know it, will need to evolve. The case study, entitled Cooking or Cooked, The Future of Singapore's Hawker Culture by Koh Jia Wei and Kenneth Tan, helpfully lists out the multiple issues and factors feeding into the sustainability of the hawker industry. Public policy is just one of the factors. Public perception of hawkers and the expectation of cheap food may well need to evolve. However, we also want to try to ensure that access to good and affordable meals remains available and accessible for those who need this option as we work on raising income levels. As we reframe our definition of success, there may well be a rethink on where providing good and affordable food or taking on a thriving hawker business into the next generation will be on this list. Mr. Speaker, sir, I therefore intend to support the intended motion.